On the behalf of ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter, I welcome to all you this webinar. As you know, the Mumbai ICF Charter Chapter has been doing various coach academic program, and more so in last 1 year when we have been celebrating 10 years of Mumbai ICF Charter Chapter. There have been more and more program has been doing. So all this program you see has been focused on the building on of the coaching craft. But what about building our own brand? What about acquisition of clients? What about building our own, you can say, a coaching blueprint? So we thought of making some change. And thanks to Aniket, we have designed a program where, say, with the name of your coaching brand blueprint, attract and empowering client, where we will focus on this next 90 minutes on the acquiring clients. While I was just looking at, say, Akhilesh background as a NLP practitioners, I could recall almost a decade back, I was attending my Marshall Goldsmith coaching program. So I was new, I was not even credential coach that time. So one of the senior coach who was there was already have coaching credential of PCC, and he was came for a Marshall Goldsmith program. So he said to that program, you know, NLP is the mother of the coaching. If you have not done the NLP, you can't be a coach. So when I look at Akhilesh background in the NLP, that gave me further, happiness. So we are going to listen not only from building the brand, but a little bit of, NLP touch also. So welcome, Akhilesh. And with this, I request Aniket to take it forward, and I'm looking forward to this 90-minute journey, which is going to be very interesting and helpful to all of us. Over to you, Aniket.
Thank you, Vinod, for that very insightful. Okay, Nandini, I'm going to request you to mute everybody else for the moment, except me. Thank you, Vinod. Thank you once again for that wonderful welcome note. I see Aki has already been spotlighted, but I'm going to set a bit of a context for this evening, afternoon, morning, for wherever you all are joining from. Welcome, everybody. So here's something I think about a lot. As coaches, we get really good at the coaching part, which ICF trains us so well. It's our craft. It is our thing. We learn to listen at a deep level. We create that space for genuine breakthroughs. We partner with our clients as they do all the hard work. It is incredibly fulfilling, isn't it? And that is the stuff that actually gives us energy and keeps us going. But the other side of it, which I honestly struggle with quite often, despite being a marketing person myself, the whole building your brand thing, it's just different. It uses a completely different set of muscles. Suddenly you're thinking about your content strategy, your LinkedIn profile, social media, website, what articles to post, what articles to write, etc. And I know there's a perspective that this brand building isn't the real work of us, by us, of coaches. But perhaps there is another way to look at it. You could say that our brand is the first promise we make to a potential client. It's the way we establish safety and clarity for them long before even we meet them for the first time in our first session. So, for anyone who might be in that skeptical phase or have a little bit of a skeptical approach towards this, my only invitation to you all would be to stay open. Let's see what new possibilities might emerge for all of us. And that's the perfect mindset for us for our session today. It is going to be about turning these possibilities into a practical plan. We are going to get some real concrete ideas on how to build a brand that is so authentic, it naturally brings the right people, right clients to us. And the person we have with us today, I see Nandini's already spotlighted him, is one of the best in the business at this. He's made this a mission to help coaches with this exact problem. Akilesh Narayanan, or fondly as we call him, Aki, is a certified NLP trainer, coach, and international speaker. And over the last 7+ years, he has built a following of thousands of coaches and trainers from across the globe. Through his signature program, he has helped coaches from 23 different countries to build their personal brands, increase their visibility, get more paid coaching clients, and grow their business from scratch. Aki lived in Bangalore for years between 2016 and 20, where he also started his career as a life coach in 2017 after finishing the ICF Level 1 training program. After working with a coaching and training company in Bangkok for 3 years, Aki became a mentor and business coach for coaches to fulfill his mission of helping coaches build successful and sustainable businesses. He has conducted masterclasses with several ICF chapters and coaching communities around the world and has spoken at international coaching conferences and summits. He has also promised us to share a brief anecdote with the former ICF Global Chairman in a while. So, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, presenting Akilesh Narayanan or Aki to you. Aki, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aniket. And thank you, everybody, for being here. So first of all, I want to appreciate all of you for being here because, it's a Thursday evening, right? And a lot of people actually sign up to a session like this, but only very few people show up. So if you're here, that actually means you're quite serious about building your brand as a coach and eventually getting clients as well. So I really want to appreciate you. So please give yourself a round of applause to begin with. So let's start on that positive note. So over the next 1 hour to 70 minutes or so in terms of the content, what I'm going to share with you is everything that I learned in my own journey over the last almost 8 years of being in the industry. So like Aniket said, when I first started out in this industry, I used to live in Thailand. And after completing my level 1 training, followed by NLP practitioner training, I was completely lost in terms of how do you go about building the business? Because I remember during the last day of the coach training, my trainer said, "Congratulations, now you are all entrepreneurs, business owners. Go out there and find clients." And I was like, how do you do that? Because there is no teaching on that. And this is what a lot of coaches struggle with, right? So everything I'm going to share with you is based on the practical, real world stuff that I have learned, tried and tested. It is not some theory that is very hard to implement. So if that sounds good to you, please give me a thumbs up and we'll move forward. Awesome. Excellent. So I'll share my screen so that you can get to see the content as well. So today's topic, as all of us know, is the coach's brand blueprint. And I want to share with you what this masterclass is not about to begin with. And the reason I wanted to start here is because when you hear the term branding, many people have different perceptions. And some people think it is about the visual branding, right? Your logo, color palettes, etc., those kind of things. And in this session, I'm not going to focus on those areas because visual branding is only one part of your branding. And what is most important is how to integrate your branding and how that ties into your building a successful and sustainable coaching business. So this is what we're going to be focusing on. All right. And by the end of today's session, you'll have 3 big takeaways. Number 1, I'll share with you the 3-step framework to build your thought leadership brand and attract paid coaching clients. And this is exactly the same 3-step process, 3-step framework. If you want to just focus on building your, focus on getting a paid coaching client. So whether it's your thought leadership brand or getting paid coaching clients, it's the same framework, but I'll explain this to you in the context of branding so that it makes sense and it is easy for you to implement. Yeah. Now, the second area is I'll give you some actionable tips to craft a personal brand that highlights your USP. So we'll do at least a couple of exercises. If we have more time, we'll do more exercises in this next 1 hour or so. And the last one, the most powerful aspect of branding, in my experience, that helps you attract your ideal clients. So if that sounds exciting to you, please put yes in the chat. I will be asking for some engagements, okay? Because when you do an online session like this, sometimes you just think you're talking to a computer. So just asking for engagement like this, sometimes it's good. All right, good. So usually when I talk to coaches about branding, there are a few big questions that people normally ask. And the first question usually is, should I focus on my personal brand or company first? And second question is, how do I stand out when there is so much competition? Some people ask, do I need a niche to build a brand? And then another question is, where do I even start? So these are some common questions I've seen over the years. And I'm just curious to know, what are your questions? Let's say, what is your number one question about building your brand? Please share that in the comment. Your number one question about building your brand. Please share that in the comments. Coaching niche, okay. Yeah, so Neeraj, niche is obviously one part of the branding. We'll get into that. Reaching the right customer, how do I reach out to my clients? Is social media necessary? My authentic voice, where do I start? Investing some time becomes difficult, okay. How to get more clients, who to talk about us, reaching out to my audience. Okay, so these are very similar questions. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for sharing this. So let's move on. Before I get into the proven three-step framework, I want to share with you one main thing, right? So I'd like you to visualize this session as one big takeaway, and every other takeaway is a subcategory of this. So what I mean by that is, for example, if you think about, how do you become certified as a coach? Your certification is a final outcome, right? And then you have to go through many different journeys in that process. You have to learn the competencies, including finish your number of hours, get the recordings and stuff like that, right? So this proven three-step framework will be the biggest takeaway for all of you in this session. And every other takeaway is a subcategory of this, okay? So let's get started then. So the very first area that all of us need to understand, whether your question is, how do you start to build your brand? Where do I find my clients? How do I choose my niche? For all of these questions, the very first area to focus on is what I like to call your compelling coaching offer. So what I mean by that is, just like in any business, coaching is no different from any other business if you look at the fundamentals. And we're all selling something, right? How many of you agree that we're all selling something? If you do agree, please put your hand up. We're all selling something as a coach, whatever coach you are, leadership. So that is the very first area to focus on, which is your compelling coaching offer, which is what to sell. Yeah. And I'll be going into a little more details about this. The second area to focus on in this framework is lead generation. So if you don't understand what the word lead means, because I know that some of you might be new to business, some of you might have some experience. So to make it very simple, it's basically knowing, where do you find your prospective clients? Is it social media? Is it in a conference? Do you run paid ads? How do you get in touch with your prospective clients? That's a second area. Now, the third area is the conversion process. Now, one of the hardest part as a coach is to sell, right? And I was talking to an MCC coach this morning, and he was saying that a lot of coaches have a negative relationship with selling and asking for money as such, because they think that asking money for coaching is not a good thing, and then you're not doing a good service, etc. So that actually is a very big limiting belief. So in case you have that, I invite you to think about it this way. If you really believe in what you're doing as a coach, then you also have to believe selling is a good thing, right? If you believe in what you're doing as a coach, you have to believe selling is a good thing, because without you selling, people are not going to know what you offer. And if they don't know what you offer, they cannot pay you and work with you. And if they don't work with you, they can't transform their life, whatever their challenges are, right? So these are three big areas I want to clarify right in the beginning. And what I'm going to do is I'll share with you how to craft your brand in each of these different contexts. Branding in the context of offer creation, branding in the context of lead generation, and branding in the context of your selling. Okay. So let's get started with each of these areas. Now we'll go deeper into what makes a coaching offer compelling. Before I do that, let me stop screen share and ask a question. So let me ask a question. If you go to a restaurant, right, and there is no menu, and the waiter comes and says, "Oh, we have all kind of food. We'll give you anything you want." Would you prefer to go to a restaurant like that? Or would you prefer to go to a restaurant which says it is focused on Japanese food or let's say North Indian food? Which one would you prefer to go to and which one would be more compelling? If you prefer the first one, put 1 in the chat. If you prefer the second one, put number 2 in the chat. Yeah, everybody's saying number 2. And the interesting thing is this is exactly what's happening with most coaches, especially in the beginning of your career. Yes, coaching is for everybody. Yes, everybody can benefit from coaching. Yes, you don't need to have a specialization in order to coach somebody. But if you look at the business world, people who are specific, people who are targeted in a certain category, they are the ones who get recognition. They are the ones who get the visibility, and they are the ones who eventually get clients. So that is what I'm going to do with this particular exercise. I'll explain this, then we'll get into an exercise. Okay. So in terms of what makes a coaching offer compelling, I want to share with you a 4-step framework, and this will be one of the second takeaway for all of you. So the first area to make an offer compelling is clearly mention the who, your target audience. And one of the things which actually is quite common sense when I think about it now, but when I first started, I didn't know this. One of the easiest ways to make sure that you actually get clients who can pay you is target people above 35 years of age. And the reason I share that is because these are people who usually have more money compared to people below that age. And when people reach this age, most of the time they are willing to invest in a coach provided they see the value. So one of the easiest things is to target people above 35 years of age. And in case you have questions, what about people below that? We'll answer that towards the end. So please remind me in the Q&A. I want to focus on this and keep moving forward. So the who is very important. Who do you work with? Is it a business owner? Is it a women entrepreneur? Is it a senior leader working in an IT company? So specify the who, okay? Now, the second thing that needs to be clear. So think about this as your elevator pitch. Just like any business, we also need to craft an elevator pitch as a coach, right? And when people ask you, so what do you do as a coach? How many of you find it difficult to answer that question? Anyone finds it difficult to answer that question? Yeah, Niket has a hand up. A few people, right? So one of the reasons for this is because, again, like I said in the beginning, we have to explain coaching in the context of a target market. So it's not like why people should hire a coach. It's more like how coaching can benefit a leader, how coaching can benefit, let's say, somebody starting a career, how coaching can benefit a CEO, CXO. That is what we should focus on in order to succeed in the business. That's the second area. Specify the what, which is what kind of results and outcomes can you help people achieve? Can you help people improve the decision making? Is it about achieving their business outcomes, the numbers? Perhaps it's about becoming more emotionally intelligent. So whatever that might be, what are some results and outcomes you can help people achieve using your coaching? So are you following me so far, everybody? If you're following me, give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So the third area, in order to make a coaching offer compelling, is to describe your why. Now, I see that PK is here. Thank you, PK, for joining us. One of the things that I loved when I listened to one of the sessions PK did to coaches is that he said you need to have an emotional connection to the target market that you're serving. And this is the reason why when you give your elevator pitch, whether it is talking to somebody, like the person sitting next to you on a plane, or you are at an event and somebody is asking you in the networking session, or perhaps you're doing a webinar. So that backstory of yours, what is the thing that like inspires you to do what you're doing as a coach? It's very important because people don't hire a coach just based on your ACC, PCC, or MCC credential. That is important. But the most important thing is people need to feel that connection with you and they need to know that backstory. So this is what draws people towards you, and it's an integral part of your branding, right? That backstory of what is it that inspires you to do what you're doing today. Now, the final area is to show the how, which is your process or your framework. Now, we're all familiar with the GROW model of coaching, right? So in my experience, what I have seen successful coaches doing is they all have their own framework. Sometimes the 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, whatever that might be. They all have some kind of framework because most of the times clients will ask you, so how does it work? How can you help me? I'm not saying that you should tell them this is exactly how it will go, but you should paint the picture of the journey, how that works, right? So if you think about the first time you spoke to somebody when you decided to do the ICF coach training, the person you spoke to in the institute, they might have talked to you about the ACC, PCC, MCC journey, right? So that is the journey of a coach in the ICF world. Similarly, it is important for us to have some kind of framework in place so that people understand the journey of how it looks like. And when people understand it, you have less friction because you have clarity, right? And when that happens, for them to say yes, it becomes much easier. So, Aniket, I think it's a good time to get into an exercise. So what I would like everybody to do is we'll get into an exercise where I would love all of you to create your elevator pitch, and we'll follow this framework: the who, what, why, and the how. In fact, the how might be a little challenging because not all of us have a framework in place at the moment. So let's do a quick intro where we describe our who, what, and the why. So I'll lead the way. So what I'll do is I'll give a demo about how this framework applies into my elevator pitch. And then we'll have 2 minutes for everybody to prepare. And perhaps we can get 2 or 3 people to share, and I'll give you feedback. Sound good? If that sounds good, give me a thumbs up. Okay, excellent. So let me do my intro again. So hi, everybody. My name is Aki, and I'm a certified NLP trainer and coach and international speaker. And what I do is I work with coaches, especially ICF coaches, to help them to get clients and grow their business. And the reason this is so important to me and inspires me to do this is because when I first started my journey as a coach almost 8 years ago, I didn't have anyone to guide me in terms of getting clients and building the practice. So I had to talk to many different mentors, read many different books, and go to different events to kind of piece together the business side of being a coach. And it took me about a year to actually get things going. And somewhere in that journey, the coaches I knew in my network started to benefit from what I was sharing with them. So when I came out of the company I used to work with and I started my own business about 5 years ago, I decided to focus on helping coaches because this is an area that almost all coaches struggle with. And I feel that only when you master the business side of coaching can you actually get paid coaching clients. And when you actually get paid coaching clients, that's when you can actually transform the world, right? So this is my intro. Obviously, I've been practicing this for many, many years, so I don't expect any one of you to become masters at this. So what we'll do is let's take 2 minutes, and I have a timer here. And I would love all of you to create your elevator pitch using the who, what, and the why. So please leave out the how for now, because we actually don't have enough time to do that. So the time starts. Before I go there, anyone has any question about what to do about this exercise? Anybody? Any questions? Okay, great. So the 2 minutes starts.
Well, I have a question,
Yes,
Aki. I'm curious to understand, what does the why really mean? Is that why I got into coaching? What
yeah.
inspired me to get into coaching? Okay.
Great question. So what I mean is it's important to start with the target market because just like any business, coaching is no different in terms of the fundamentals. So we have to choose a target market. Let's say, for example, it's mid-level leaders or women entrepreneurs or homemakers. It can be anyone. Then the backstory should be relevant to why you wanted to coach that particular audience. What is your emotional connection with that audience? That's what I mean.
Sure.
Yeah.
That
Okay,
helps.
so the 2 minutes starts now. A message to all the perfectionists. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get started anyway. All right, the time is up. So I'll stop screen share. And what we'd love to do now is we can get maybe 2 or 3 people to share their intro with us, and I'll give you my constructive feedback. and then we'll go into mini Q&A before going to the next topic. Okay. So who wants to go first? Anyone? Oh, we have two hands up. Amazing. I don't know who raised your hand first, Kenneth, Neeraj. Let's start with Kenneth first. Neeraj, is that okay? Yeah, and then I'll come to you. Yes, Kenneth, nice to meet you. How are you? Can't hear you, sorry.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Yes, okay, I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing good too.
Great.
Great. So let's hear it. Go for it.
Okay, so I've had some years to think about this, but let me just give it another shot.
Yeah.
So hi, I'm Ken. I am an L&D practitioner with an engineering background and an ICF coach, now professional coach. I essentially work with managers, starting from first-time managers to mid-level to senior managers, to help them improve their people management capabilities. There is an art and a science involved in managing people. And unfortunately, in today's world of work, while we are trained on a lot of functional skills, managerial skills is something that's expected everyone to have by default. And that isn't the case. I got into this after about 8-10 years of working with managers across different cultures and geographies, and realized that many of them are struggling with people management capabilities, and the only support that's being provided to them is training. While it does address it in a piecemeal manner, the real transformation for managers can only happen when we work with them one manager at a time. And that's why I got into this space of working with managers through coaching.
Wonderful. Good job. Give them a big hand, everybody. Excellent. Kenneth, I'll give you my feedback, but
Sure.
before that, we'd love to know, what do you think you did well and what can be improved?
Yeah, this was the first draft, so I think there's definitely scope to improve. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So here's what I thought.
Yeah.
I think the reason why you want to work with managers, it's very clear. And you highlighted a really important point, which is the technical skills people have, but there is very little emphasis on the managerial skills, which is very important, right? So I
Yes.
think you've pointed out something that everybody at that level can resonate with. So that relatability in your intro is very important, and great job on that. One thing I would suggest to improve is you can tell your own story a little bit. Like the angle
Yeah.
right now is others are not able to do this, I want to help them. So the story also has to have some kind of personal connection, right?
Right.
Perhaps at some point you also struggle with that. And you can give an example of how coaching helped you to transform, if there is something like that in your own life, right?
There is, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because people want to know that. And the thing is, like, what we do as coaches, right? It's a very personal thing. And it's not like an impulse buy, that what we are selling, it's not like bread and chocolate, like people need to really feel us and listen to our message and resonate with us, and then they decide to work with us.
Right.
Yeah, that is one aspect. Just add some personal connection. Otherwise, great job.
Thank you. I'll do that. Thanks.
Yes. Neeraj, are you ready? Please go ahead.
Sure, okay. Hi, I'm Neeraj Juneja. I'm an executive and team coach with 2 decades of experience working with global organizations like BCG, American Express, NatWest Group, and Axis Bank Limited. I've done variety of roles. I've worked with operations, sales support, product management, risk and compliance, and then finally decided to be in coaching. I have got approximately 1,500 hours of coaching experience working with senior leaders in global organizations and teams who are virtually based and have got members, spread across the globe. The framework that I use as part of my coaching is CREATE, where I give enough time, to me and my client to develop connection, review our contract, then I do a bit of exploration in the whole exercise, and then I would let you and support you, arrive at certain actions. So with this, I'm curious to know, what are your leadership priorities for this year, so that we can decide, how can we work together?
Nice one. Good job. Thank you for that. What do you think you did well and what can be improved?
I think I need to bring in more element of, coaching in this. Although I did speak about my credentials and, the variety of experience, diversity. I spoke about global organizations, which is the hook, which can help me establish trust. But I think it can be made better.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here are my thoughts. I think what you did really well is to talk about the number of companies and the kind of companies you work with. So that shows your experience. That is really great. And you also mentioned one thing that you help people working in teams across the globe. So that is a major challenge that people have, especially since COVID, right? And I think that is also the point where you can go a little deeper. And this is my suggestion on how you can improve, because what I felt is you didn't go into the problems enough. Like, what is the core problem you solve? So when you have a team working across different time zones, obviously there are multiple challenges, right? So go a little deeper into that. And what are, let's say, one or two problems, maybe just one problem that you really can help the organizations with?
Sure.
And obviously, when you do coaching for that team, it involves multiple aspects, right? Behavior change, mindset, all of these kind of things. Just go a little deeper and like strike the pain point, because people don't buy coaching because coaching is a process. Coaching is a process to get to a result, and
Exactly.
have some problems, right? And we're helping them to solve those problems using coaching. So go a
Sure.
little deeper into the problems. Awesome. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, I think Saurav, I think you're the next person.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Hi, Saurav. How are you?
I'm very well. Very interesting session. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. We're just getting
So,
started.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. We are also warming up.
Okay,
So,
go for it.
let's do this. So, I'm Saurav Datta. I am from the corporate training, learning and development practice, and I've been doing training for the last 25 years. And somewhere in this whole journey, I have discovered that coaching is one area where I am deeply involved, indulged, you can say also, because I love to work one on one, and coaching is a lot about working one on one. Second area, I also do believe that coaching is one approach to development which prepares somebody for the future. So
Mm,
instead of rather looking at the past and fretting over it, coaching helps to craft a new future for oneself, and that's where I also come in, because I feel that it's very much doable once we make a mind shift. In a last 5 to 6 years, one thing which has evolved a lot is the field of education, and my practice of coaching is for teachers and educators. Because if you see, the education field has moved at a much faster pace than the educators themselves. And
mhm,
this is where I have found that they are seeking for opportunities for growth, both as a teacher and also into the education management field. They want to become principals or institution managers, but because of limitations of their prior experience, they are not able to. And I find a lot of interest in this also because some of our family members are into that field, and that's what I do. As far as the practice is concerned, I follow a model called grow model, which I feel is deeply uh, impactful. It's very result oriented, and it's something which anybody can very easily pick up. And I've been practicing this for quite a few years now. So that's about me. Thanks for listening in.
Thank you, Saurav. Please tell us what you think you did well and what you can improve. And if you can keep it a bit short, it'll be nice because we are kind of running out of time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's one point. I felt I was just wanting to see how to end it. I was struggling a bit there.
Yeah.
I feel I did speak my heart and mind, so I believed in what I said. I know I'm doing it. I'm very deeply involved, so that way I felt it was natural. But
Mhm.
the time and the length and the sequence, maybe that part I could
Yeah,
improve.
yeah. Great. Thank you, Saurav. So here are my thoughts. I could really sense your passion, which is great, because people respond to energy, right? So that is really great. And you're right in terms of the improvement. It has to be a little shorter because at some point I felt like some part of the intro was like a theory. And I would recommend you to keep it more on your story. Like, what is your reason? What is your backstory in doing what you're doing? And because you have an experience as a trainer, training and coaching can be combined really well, right? So perhaps that could be one angle for you to look at when you realize the importance of coaching and how it can help people achieve long-lasting transformation or something like that. I think that'll be great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
We have one more, Akilesh.
Let's do one more and then we move forward. I think it's Sanjeev, right? Yeah. Hi, Sanjeev. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, here I go.
Yes.
So, good evening, guys. This is Sanjeev Gupta, an ICF certified coach, and I do my coaching as a freelancer. So, I come from a technology background, working for corporates in leadership roles. So, I work for companies like Bharti and Ericsson. So, during my corporate life or my leadership phase, the biggest problem that I found was for the people who were turning into first-time managers. Like they were individual contributors earlier, and when they become a first-level manager, that's the biggest challenge I found during my leadership career. And that's the problem I would like to solve by my coaching. So I work with all the first-time leaders who are facing challenges in managing their teams and delegating the work and getting it done through the teams. So that's a problem I want to solve, and those are my target audience.
Excellent. This is very good. Thank you, Sanjeev. So I'll just get into my feedback straight away because we need to move forward. I think your target market is really clear. And the reason you want to coach them is also very clear because, obviously they're first-time managers. They're not pretty good with the managerial skills yet. One thing I would recommend you to add a little bit is little more specificity in terms of what kind of problems you can solve. Like maybe 2, 3 problems, right? When somebody is a manager, what are like 2 or 3 challenges they have? Because that will help people to resonate with you more. And also, I would recommend you to replace the word "I want to coach this market" with "I am focused on coaching this market."
Okay.
Because when you say, "I want to coach this," it sounds like it's a desire. But when you do introduction, it has to speak about what is it that you do, what is it that you're focused on doing, right? And because you're somebody with that experience with that market, I think that you have more than enough credibility to say, "I'm focused on that market." So great, awesome. Thank you, everybody. So if you have questions on this, please keep it, and we'll go for about 20-25 minutes more maximum before we go into the Q&A. Is that okay, Aniket? Yeah,
Perfect.
great. Yeah. So again, I want to repeat, the context in which we're doing this is for your branding. And the reason this is so important is because people don't buy coaching, because coaching is a process. What they buy is the clarity in your offer. And having clarity in your offer is such an important part of branding, because if they don't understand what you do and who you help and how you help, there is no way people can make a decision whether to work with you or not. And most of the time, what ends up happening is they'll say, "Oh, let me get back to you. I will think about it." And then they never get back. So I will get back to you is a polite way of saying no, right? So this clarity is so important. People don't buy coaching, they buy the clarity in your offer. Okay, great. So now let's get into the second pillar, which is the lead generation. I want to focus on.
I had a question.
Yes. Can you make it quick, please, Vinod? Yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So the question on the first piece, one thing is, I think the elevator pitch and the summary of the 3 things that we can offer as a coach, I think that was very, very clear and very powerful. One question that came up to me is, for careers, and say if you're somebody who has 25 plus years of experience, and there is a certain diversity of experience, there's a certain cumulative journey that you have accrued, and which is helping you basically bring up differentiators. So the value of that cumulative experience that you would want to bring. So I'm just curious that in typical business conversation, is it the opportunity to sell is it completely resting on elevator pitch, which is, I know it's important to grab the attention, versus some of these nuanced conversations to say, hey, these are some of the plus things that I bring to the table as a coach. Well, it could be my career interests, it could be my interest outside career, it could be my cumulative journey, diversity of experiences. These would require time. It's not necessarily an elevator pitch. So it's just a curious question to say, is brand building, how much of it is on elevator pitch is one part, but as part of the selling process, how do we bring in some of these nuances to about who you are as a person? How do we bring those nuances? Just a curious thought.
Excellent question. Thank you, Vinod, for asking this. I'll answer this as quickly as possible. So the question, the first one, obviously it's not dependent entirely on your elevator pitch, because elevator pitch is only one part of it, because like you rightly said, we need to grab the attention, right? And before people pay you money for coaching, what they pay you is attention. And that's one of the main reasons why the elevator pitch is important, to get that attention and to clearly communicate what it is that you do. Okay. Now, the second part of it is, so for example, let's say you are somebody helping leaders become better decision makers, just a random example, right? So that one big area is decision making for leaders, right? Now, there are many subcategories in that, which is, for example, improving their emotional intelligence, improving their communication, and also improving their ability to ask questions to their colleagues, because that's also part of decision making, right? So in my experience, how you could bring your other aspects of it is, when you do your elevator pitch, focus on the biggest result to help your target audience achieve. And obviously you will have a conversation. This is one beautiful thing for all of us, that the client conversion happens after a conversation, right? And in that conversation, you can share with them other aspects of what you're good at as well, so that they understand the entire picture of what you offer and who you are as a person. Because the more things your audience can relate with you, the higher their chances of signing up with you. Because people decide to work with you, like I said before, not only based on your certification. They need to connect with you. They need to be able to relate with you. And that's how it happens. So did that answer your question?
Thank you, Aki. I think it really helped. I think the key takeaway would be for me is relatability of your background, bringing it into conversation. I think that's a key takeaway. Like, it's not about telling your full story. It's about relevant aspects of the story in those conversations. Thank you. I think
You're welcome. You're welcome. Saurav, is it okay? I'll come to you towards the end, because otherwise I'll just run out of time in terms of the content. So let me just finish that, and then I'll come to you. Okay. All right. So going back to the lead generation, this is the second pillar in that framework that I spoke to you about. And in terms of generating leads for your coaching business, over the last 8 years, I've found that there are 5 ways to organically generate leads without any paid advertisement. I'll go over this very quickly, and then I explain how this ties into the branding aspect. So the first one is warm reach out. So what I mean by warm reach out is, if you're somebody with 15, 20 years of experience, for example, you might already have a decent network. Everybody apart from your friends and family, because they are not a good audience, don't target them, okay? They never pay you, and they create a lot of problems as well. So anyone apart from your friends and family, your ex-colleagues, clients from a different business, etc., they could potentially be your clients. And if you're able to clearly craft who is it that you help, and if you look at your list, whoever is a good fit for that, reach out to them saying that, hey, recently I became a coach and this is what I do. Would you like to have a conversation? It's not about trying to sell your coaching by messaging or emailing them. It's an invitation to have a conversation. And we call that discovery call, right? And in the discovery call, we show them the value, ask questions to understand what they want. Then we try to convert them. I'll talk more about that very shortly. That's the first area in terms of lead generation. Second one is content writing. And in all the work that I do with coaches, I focus only on LinkedIn, because what I've learned is, for coaches, LinkedIn is the best platform, because you get serious clients there. And again, in terms of content, there's so many things we can talk about in terms of content, but because we have a limited time, I want to focus on one thing which I already said. The most important aspect of your content in terms of branding is relatability. because everything that you put out, whether it's a video or a step-by-step process to achieve something, something that you learn from self-reflection, whatever that might be, it has to be relevant to the audience that you're serving. And when every time you put out something, it is relevant to your audience, what's happening is you are increasing the touch points with them. And what I mean by touch points is today, people don't, for us, we are in a business where it's not an impulse buy. And if your coaching is a premium offer, you're charging very good money for it, most likely it'll be in the top 5 purchases of their entire life, depending on your audience. So what we need to do is the different posts that we put out, it has to be relatable to your target audience. It has to speak about different problems that you can help them solve. So think about it like this. If you think about Mumbai, for example, and think about the Wankhede Stadium, right? So there are different gates to come inside the stadium, right? I don't know how many gates are there because I've never been there. Let's say there are 10 gates. So if there are 10 gates to come inside the stadium, everybody comes inside the stadium and ultimately they watch the cricket match, right? So when we write a post on LinkedIn, every post that you write is almost like the different gate. So one gate could be how coaching can help them become more emotionally intelligent. Perhaps another post, another gate could be a success story of one of your client. Another post could be something that you learned when you were a first-time manager. So put out different things because you never know what people connect with. And not everybody connects with the same thing. So with the work that I do, sometimes I put out content about a success story of a client of mine. Sometimes it's about a lesson I learned in selling. Sometimes it's a clip about something that I spoke about in a conference. So it's always different. And the only way to know that is by putting out different pieces of content, because then you will know what your audience can relate with. And this has to be consistent because it's important for your branding. Okay. Maybe another session we can focus on the content part, Aniket. Today we don't have the time for it. So the next aspect of this collaboration, and one of the beautiful things about our industry is that if you can find people to collaborate with, somebody who has access to your target audience, that is an additional source for you to get leads. And you're able to leverage your brand and the other person's brand as well. And this is a long-term strategy. And this is not for coaches who are in the beginning. If you have been in the industry for 1 or 2 years, if you have a few clients, then I recommend you to think about creating collaborations. That'll really work. Okay. Now, the other one is doing masterclasses or workshops. Now, the reason this is so important is because even today, coaching is not that popular in India, right? At least the way ICF describes it, it's not very popular in India. So for this reason, most of the people that you're talking to, they may never have heard about ICF. They may never have heard about the coaching competencies. So what needs to happen is before they sign up with you, there has to be some element of education that needs to happen. Awareness building, education, I mean the same thing, right? So it will really help you if you can do workshops, master classes for your target audience on specific topics to give value, because when you give value upfront, a percentage of the people who attend your sessions, they convert into your clients. So this is a long-term strategy as well to get leads. Okay. The final one is my favorite one, to become a speaker. And I highly, highly recommend all of you to think about becoming a speaker and adding speaking to your marketing and lead generation and brand building, because becoming a speaker, in my opinion, is the best way to build your personal brand and to increase your visibility. Because if you speak in an event, a conference or a summit where your target market are there, it increases your reach, and it basically exposes you to a larger audience compared to doing just one-on-one conversations. One-on-one is important, but also try to add this. Okay, so these are the 5 different ones. And the reason I'm talking about this in the context of branding is because how people perceive you in these 5 areas, or even in like one area, that determines how people perceive your brand. So if, let's say, for example, let's take Aniket, right? Let's take Vinod, for example, and say, hey, Vinod, can you look at Aniket's LinkedIn profile and tell me what are the 3 words that come to your mind in terms of what Aniket does? What will he say? So if he says 3 words that Aniket wants your audience to know about you, it means you're doing a good job in building a brand. If they're saying something that you don't want your audience to think about you, it means there's a misalignment. So my point is, these are all different touch points. And across all these different areas, we have to communicate a brand in a consistent way. And even if we don't explain to people what we are doing, looking at our content, looking at our masterclass, looking at our collaborations and speaking engagements, people need to be able to perceive us in a way that aligns with what we do. That's important, right? I know it's easier said than done, but because of the limitation in time, I just want to plant the seed in your mind, okay? So the takeaway here is leads don't come from just visibility, because most coaches ask, how do I become more visible? That's only one part of the equation. Leads they come from how you are perceived by your target market. So visibility by itself is not enough. It's about how you are being perceived by your target market. And the best leads, the most qualified leads are the people who already know what you do. Their question is not about what you do. It's about, hey, can you help me with this? Is that relevant for me, right? Can you help me maybe craft a coaching program that applies to my situation? So those are always the best leads. And again, this goes back to what we talked about before. Your offer is the foundation of everything. And if you're clear about your target market, who you serve, what is your backstory, what problems you help them solve, then your content creation, masterclass, everything becomes aligned with that. That creates the perception that you want your target market to have. Yeah. So are you following me so far? If you are, please put 1 in the chat, number 1 in the chat. Okay, good. Thank you, everybody. So one last piece of content, and then we'll go into the Q&A. So some people might recognize the gentleman standing next to me. He is one of the most, successful and widely recognized and respected coaches, especially in the ICF world. And he used to be the 2019 global chairman of ICF, and he's an MCC, obviously. So when I used to live in Thailand, I had the chance to attend a few of his sessions. And the company I used to work for, he had a collaboration with that company. So I had the chance to introduce him as a speaker a couple of times during our programs. So I want to share with you all what I learned from Coach JF about selling. And this is somebody with over 20 years of experience. And especially in Thailand, he is considered as a person who introduced ICF and coaching in Thailand. I think 2006 it happened. So here's what I learned. So while engaging with prospective clients, number 1, don't try to explain how coaching works. This is a mistake that I made as well, and a lot of coaches make. And the reason this is such an inefficient way to sell is because if you're explaining how coaching works, you're focusing only on the theory aspect. And if the person you're talking to has no clue what ICF is and no clue what coaching is, it is not a good use of their time. So again, Coach JF, what he told me is instead of explaining how coaching works, what you do is you give examples of transformations. You say, this person used to struggle with ABC problem, and when he underwent coaching intervention, he was able to achieve ABC results. Examples of transformation. Okay. Second, don't explain the difference between coaching, mentoring, and consulting. I know this kind of goes against the traditional advice that you might get in coach training. With all due respect, what I'm saying is in the world of business, when you're talking to a potential client, explaining this is not that useful in terms of converting them, because they don't need to know this. They just need to see the value in what you offer. And if they ask you, obviously go ahead and explain them. But this should not be one of the major focus points in your conversation to sell, because then the focus kind of drifts away from what problems they have and how coaching applies to them into explaining the difference between all this. It is not very efficient in terms of selling. Okay. So the last point is identify what the coachee really wants and show how coaching can help them. So again, I learned this from another MCC, not Coach JF. So what she told me is that Actually, selling is a natural thing for us coaches. If you understand one fact, anybody who is good at selling, if you look at it, they're very good at asking questions. And that's what we are trying to do, right? So in the conversation, in the discovery call, you ask questions to understand what is it that they really want? What are their desires? What are their problems? And then you show how your coaching can help them in that situation. It's like putting coaching in the context of their problem and not explaining how coaching works. Kind of similar to what I'm doing today. I'm not explaining branding as a theory. I'm putting it in the context of these three pillars, right? So that's what I learned. So the takeaway here is that selling is not about convincing for us coaches. It is about alignment. Because when you understand what your prospective clients want, and you are able to show your coaching offer in a way that is aligned to their needs, then the decision to say yes is far easier. Some people make a decision quickly, and some people might take some time, and that's okay, right? So then you might have to do some follow-up. So that is my message with this aspect. And I want to repeat the proven three-step framework one more time. And this is what we talked about. And we talked about branding in the context of these three pillars: your compelling coaching offer, the lead generation, and the conversion process. And when I was creating the content for this session, I was thinking about, what if I can share the biggest takeaways in one slide? What would that be? And I actually managed to come up with something. Would you like to see that? If you like to see that, please put yes in the chat. I need some engagement. Okay, all right, good, good. So here it is, your key takeaways, okay? Number one, offer is about clarity. Who do you help? And what are the problems you can help them overcome? And why do you do that? And how do you do that? It's about clarity. Be very clear. Lead generation is about perception. Like, what do people perceive about you? What do people understand about your work, even if they're not talking to you? That's what I mean by perception. Okay. And the final piece is selling. Is everything that you're doing in terms of your offer, the lead generation, does it align with what you're selling and aligns with actually fulfilling your promise, which is coaching? So this is the one slide takeaway that I have for all of you. Your key takeaways: offer is about clarity, lead generation is about perception, and selling is about alignment. And I made you 3 promises in the beginning, right? The number one thing was a 3-step framework to build a thought leadership brand and attract paid coaching clients, which is the same thing: the offer, lead generation, and the selling, the 3-step framework. And actionable tips to craft a personal brand that highlights your USP. So what I mean by USP here is your backstory is a really, really important part of it. Because people, yeah, you don't need to be an expert in a client's area, but it won't hurt you if you're an expert in that area. It'll only increase the trust. Okay, so your backstory is very important for the USP. And if you have any idea about your process or framework, how are you doing that? And if your content resonates with the target market, those are all parts of your USP. So think about it this way. It's about the relatability. Okay. The last piece is the most powerful aspect of branding that helps you attract your ideal clients. Yeah, we talked about this. It's relatability, alignment. So if you think I kept my promises, please put one final yes in the chat, and then we'll go to Q&A. Okay, great, lots of yeses, excellent. So Aniket, I'm actually done with my session because I wanted to have enough time for the Q&A. Can we start the Q&A now?
Yes, a big yes. Before that, I was just figuring out my keyboard. A big yes, Aki. That was very, very insightful. We will move to the Q&A. Before that, I just wanted to request everybody to, for a brief moment, if you could come on video so that we could take a pretty picture with Aki
Yes,
as
let's do
a
that.
memory to mark this evening. Superb. Thank you so much. Really appreciate this, everybody. Nandini, we're ready when you're ready.
Yeah, just a moment, please. Please, Leon.
Should we do a victory pose? Because I feel like everybody's so serious. Come on, everybody, let's do a victory pose. Yeah, one more picture.
Hang on, everyone, please.
Okay.
The same.
Oh, one more. Okay, one more victory.
More victories.
One more. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Nandini. So let's get the Q&A started. I think Saurav had a question and I promised to get back towards the end. Saurav, where are you? Are you still here? Okay, so whoever has the first question, please go for it. We have about 25 minutes. Anyone?
Yeah, Akilesh, this is Kaushik here. Can I go?
Yes. Hi, Kaushik. How are you?
I'm doing good, and thank you so much for this little insightful gems.
You're
So
welcome.
you spoke about USP, and that's unique sales proposition. You also spoke that it's all about them and not about us, which means different strokes, different folks. So my question is, let's say I am a particular coach. I position myself as a levity coach, and I help leaders to smile more in the typical moments, etc. Now, there has to be the reasons why somebody buys ABC. There are three reasons. Somebody buys for A, somebody buys for C. So how do I make my copy? And I think you did cover that you make a portfolio of A, B, C, E, and you don't know what the other, the buyer may be picking it up. So is it a unique sales proposition or is it a set of value proposition?
Great question. And Nandini, can you put Kaushik spotlight as well so that I can see him side by side, if that works? Okay, so your question is it unique selling proposition or is it a value proposition? Is that what you mean? Yeah, okay. All right. I'll tell you how I understand it. And this is a combination of my own trial and error and what I've learned from my mentors. So when you look at what really makes a coaching client sign up with you, yes, your certifications is important because that gives you credibility. And the most important factor in that is if the client can relate with you or if they feel that they have, like, if you understand them, like the connection, basically, connection and the relatability. So from that angle, what I meant to say is obviously highlight your backstory because that gives you relevance into why you're focused on that particular target market. And also, if you explain to them that using your coaching, here are 3, 4, 5 problems that I can help you solve, that tells them that you understand them. And when they feel that you understand them, obviously the next step, if they're okay to move forward, is to craft an offer that aligns with what is it that they want. And if you can also show the ROI for it. For example, if you're working with a founder to help him or her to increase their revenue, that is one classic example of how you can show the ROI of coaching. So using a coaching, and if you can help them increase the sales by 50% in the next 2 months, that is a classic investment for them. So that is what I meant to convey. And did that answer your question or you still have more questions? Okay.
So the ROI benefits may change and their use cases may change a bit, but the core remains the same.
Yeah, the core remains the same. And I want to highlight like one thing that I said one more time because it's for everybody, regardless of your niche. People need to feel that connection with you. And they need to feel that you understand them and their problems. Because I remember one of my early, like this is like 6, 7 years ago, one of my prospective clients gave me the feedback that I don't want to sign up with you because I don't like the way you sell. Because at that time I was too focused on trying to convince them why they need coaching and then talk to them about how great coaching is, etc. So that was the wrong approach because people outside the world of coaching and ICF, they don't understand all that. So they have real world problems and it's about us showing how coaching applies to their specific context. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else? Who has the next question? There are some questions in the comments as well, I think.
So, Aki, just a gentle nudge. I think we also got it from Agnes. You mentioned in the start that we also can target the audiences who are below 35 years of age.
Yes,
Gentle
yes.
nudge and a reminder on that.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder. Agnes, you have a very good memory. That's good. So here's the thing, right? Oftentimes, again, I'd like to start with a story. So when I first got into coaching, I was 24 years old. And after my coach training, the only people that I had in my network was a few university students. So what I did was I reached out to them, booked a discovery call, and then what happened is, like, I was doing the discovery call, made my offer, and every single one of them gave the same response. And what they said is, we really love this. I really want to work with you, but I really don't have any money. So after about 2 months of doing this, what I realized is sometimes you come across people who really need your help, but they are not in a position to afford you financially. And that creates a problem because you can only give free coaching so much, right? And I love this quote which says that you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of you also. And setting this as a context, what I meant by targeting people 35 plus is because if you are serious about building this as a business, that means you have to be focused on making money, right? So from that angle, what I would recommend, if most of your target audience are under 35, if your heart lies there, perhaps you could look at it as splitting your focus. For example, 80% of your activities is focused on the target market 35 plus, and the remaining can be for the people below that age. Or another way to look at it could be, if you already have a network of people above 35, sorry, below 35, you can organically reach out to them, like, coffee conversation or messaging them or emailing them or any kind of communication. But your marketing efforts, LinkedIn, your website, all of this has to be targeted towards your main audience, which is 35 plus, because usually they are the ones who have the money. And you might find some people who are below that age who can afford as well. But in my experience, it is very challenging compared to people 35 plus. And again, it goes back to your value system. If you're somebody who doesn't bother about making money, just want to help people, then it doesn't really matter. You can just focus on anybody. But if you want to build a business in coaching and build a successful and sustainable business, then this is relevant. So I hope that answers your question. Agnes? Yeah? Okay, awesome. Yes, Satyajit, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Actually, I don't know whether network is good. I'm in a hospital where that is permitted. However, I thought to attend the station. I told him that near my room. What I thought, it's just a metaphor which I use often in coaching. I just completed ICF recently. Although with the practice, what I realized that in the sailing part, it's like a road which you explain very simply. That it's like a Western Express highway. It's like a highway which you explain very simple. And everybody likes that. Okay? But then what happens as a metaphor is that we get stuck into the traffic. Either it's a mental traffic, what we need to reject, or we see that all people are doing and then we copy that and the whole jam of express highway. Okay, I am just connecting this metaphor. Now, in this situation, when you feel that, okay, I have taken this road, but there's a complete jam. Everybody's trying, everybody, and you also trying to learn sailing. I'm also reading the books and then you find that there are a lot of pain points. Okay, but then, this express highway looks beautiful, as what you explained, but there's a jam. Jam in the sense we are all stuck there. So how you, either you make another road for me, I mean, you advise me to make another road when you're teaching, somebody to make that, so that the road itself is changed and you don't take the Western Express highway, which everybody is talking about, but you will have to reach the destination where you want to reach by another road. Is that the way? Or you have something, that, you have although you have a super car, but then when the jam is there, you can't reach your destination. So, I mean, just connecting to this metaphor, how does one person, overcome this hurdle of, jam? Because I think what I see that what is simple
But what is not simple is eradicating that jam within the mind, right? And there's a lot of eradication, a lot of deletion is required. Earlier days when I started my career, there were many less options, correct? And touchwood, my experience is that I work more with owners, so they pushed me into multiple options. So I handle sales, I started with ER, HR, everything. So every road is open to me, right? I mean, I handle all the things. Now the question is which road I need to take. There's no traffic jam. I mean, initially can be, but as you said, after 1 year there's a clean road. Yeah, that's my question.
I'm trying to decode your metaphor, to be honest. So by traffic jam, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I understand is there are multiple options, multiple areas you can help people as a coach. Which one do you focus on? Is that the question?
Correct.
Yeah, okay, great.
Jam within you.
Yeah, okay. I'll share with you what my perspective is on this. It's not a copy-paste solution, but it's just a perspective. Okay? I'll give an example using my work because that's the most connected that I can give an example with, right? The ultimate outcome that I help my clients, which are coaches, achieve is to get clients. That's the ultimate outcome, right? Now, there are many different things in your example, the highway. There are many different, let's say, petrol stations or dhabas or blockages and traffic jams in that journey, right? Sometimes it's about mental, like they have self-doubt. Like, am I good enough? Will people resonate with me? Will people pay me? So that's the mental aspect of it, limiting beliefs and my mindset block, etc. Sometimes the question is about, what is my niche? How do I find my niche? Should I focus on this niche or that niche? Or is my pricing okay? Am I pricing too low? Am I pricing too high? So these are subcategories of the bigger problem. So what I would suggest based on what I know is ask yourself this question: what is the biggest result that I'm really passionate about in helping my clients achieve? What is the biggest result? Like the ultimate one, right? And if you're working with founders, perhaps every founder wants to increase the sales. They want to grow the business. They want to reduce the cost, right? So you can look at what aspect of that are you most connected with. And obviously, before you help them reach there are multiple jams in that journey, right? Because the founders are also humans. They also have limiting beliefs. They have negative emotions. They have things that happen to them. So if you look at it from that big picture angle, so it's almost like this. You have a big picture that you're working towards, and then you have the details inside that, right? So this could be one angle that you can look at. And obviously it has to be in the context of your audience, in the context of the founders. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Yes, because I was a little afraid that I did not understand your metaphor, but hopefully I did. Thank you for that. Awesome.
But quite interesting to look at it from a very branding and business perspective. I also spent some time decoding what Satyajit's question was. Aki, I had a question when you did the exercise of the who, what, and why. I think when we get into it, when I started doing it in my head, I realized that I was almost wanting to read out my entire CV, especially in the part where I'm talking about why did I move into coaching or why did I take up coaching and the particular niche that I picked up. So I wanted to understand if there is a tip to sort of stay away from that and to be so clear and crisp in what you're doing to influence the client in a manner, the coachee in a manner that he turns into a client eventually.
Okay, so there are two things I'm sensing here. One is how do you avoid the tendency to talk too much and kind of make it crisp. And the second angle is how do you use that to convert them, right? Let me start with the second one. You giving a good crisp intro doesn't guarantee they become clients. It only increases the probability. It's like going to a good university. There's no guarantee you'll get a good job, but you have more likelihood, right? So I would encourage you to think about it as giving clarity to the client. And as a result of that clarity, they could become a client later. So going back to the first question, one of the things that really helped me is, I remember, I'll give a story. I think this will make sense. So, I live in Goa, right? So last year, I went to a hotel in Panjim, which is the capital city of Goa, and we went to have lunch, with my wife. So after that lunch, we came out of the restaurant, and there was one person who was selling saffron products, like different products in saffron. So he held us there for about 30 minutes. And the only thing he was doing is talking about how passionate he is about saffron. And to be honest, after the 10-minute mark, it became quite boring. And I thought in my head, this is a classic example of somebody who is passionate about what he's doing, but is unable to convey it in a context that is relevant to the audience, which is me and my wife in that case. So if he had asked me questions like, do you take care of your health? Do you exercise? Would you like to improve your skin quality? Things because those are the results that saffron gives you, right? If he had asked me those kind of questions, I would be more interested. So this is relevant to what you're saying because people don't have all the time in the world to listen to us. Today, I think our attention span as humans is less than of a goldfish, right? That's what a lot of research and studies say. So we have a few, let's say 1 minute or so when we do that intro, and that is only to get the conversation started. So think about it like a spark. Start somewhere, right? So it is only to spark that conversation we give that intro. And what you will realize, I promise you this, what you will realize is once you have an intro and you start practicing that with people, you will notice that some people resonate with that and some people won't. And that's okay. It's not for everybody, right? And let me tell you one more thing, and thanks for asking this question. When I say make your introduction, it is not like you made it once and you left it forever. It is an evolving thing. Because the more you practice it, it's like a coaching craft. When you finish your coach training, the level 1, when you start coaching first, you may not be that good. The more you do it, the better you become because you're evolving, right? So this is also like that. And the feedback to look for is you can visibly see in people's eyes and body language if that is connecting with them or not. And I encourage you to take note of that. So, and you can even ask people, maybe this is an exercise that I've never recommended coaches, but I think it's a good one. In fact, all of you can practice this. Reach out to 10 people that you know who are your well-wishers. Let everybody apart from your friends and family if possible. And tell them, hey, I'm working on building my business. I want to give you my introduction. Tell me what you feel when I give this intro. And look at the feedback. And look at the response, and you will see a common pattern there. You can ask people, what did you understand about what I do? What can I improve, right? So this can actually really give you feedback on what's working well, what's not working well. And if you have people in that target market, is even better. Do it with them. Yeah. So that's what I would say based on my experience.
Yes. Totally. And brings us back to connect, stroke, relatability, perception, and alignment. I think those are my 3 keywords from today's session. I'm just going to look into the chat box if there are any more questions.
There is a hand that has gone up. Shripad, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. See, thank you for this wonderful session. It made a lot of my notes. One thing which I am into a dilemma, whether LinkedIn is getting too saturated. Every day I open LinkedIn, there are 25 people talking about coaching, out of which 20 are mid-career coaching, and everybody is talking the same message. So I am just trying to figure out how do I stand out in this whole. It is becoming a Facebook for coaches. Everybody is trying to pump the same content. So that's what my perception or my bias or my misunderstanding could be.
Okay, a great point. So I'll answer this in 2 different angles based on my experience. Number 1 is, I guess most of us here is aware of something called RAS in our brain, the reticular activating system, right? In case you don't know what that is, it is something inside our brain that helps us to see things that we are most focused on, whether consciously or unconsciously. So what I have seen in our industry is most coaches, especially in the beginning, when they hear that they need to go and post on LinkedIn, everybody creates a profile, they start talking about how great coaching is, and they start to comment on each other's posts. And that is okay for the habit of building, like to build a habit of posting, that is okay. But if your target market is not coaches, it's not that useful for you to do that. So one of the reasons why you might be feeling this could be it's because of this. A lot of people do that, right? So just be aware that this could be one of the reasons why you're seeing this everywhere, because unconsciously, whatever you're focused on, that's what you will see. There might be other things also on LinkedIn, but perhaps the audience that you have on LinkedIn is all coaches. That's one angle. Now, the other angle in terms of standing out, I would go back to one thing that I said, which is relatability. And I can tell you one thing, 100% guarantee I can tell you this. Most of these people who are posting on LinkedIn, if you look at their content, very few of them are specific in terms of what they're helping their audience do. They're all talking about coaching in a very general way. And it is too vague. And they might be posting on LinkedIn, but because I work with coaches, I can tell you this. They all say that I'm posting on LinkedIn, I'm spending many hours every week, but nothing is coming out of it. And that's because you haven't got the fundamentals right, which is the offer, the lead generation, and the selling part, right? So what I would say for your question is you focus on creating content that is relatable to your target audience. Also, don't rely only on LinkedIn to get leads. And today I made a post on LinkedIn. If you have the time, please go and check it out. And it was about you become active on LinkedIn or any other social media for that matter, not only for the purpose of getting clients from there directly. It is also your digital resume. Because now people, before they decide to work with you, most people will want to check you out. They'll look at your content, they look at what you're talking about. They want to understand how you think. And this is a fact, not just for coaches, for almost every business. So for that reason, I recommend you, Shripad, highly recommend you to put out content that resonates with your target audience. And when you keep doing that, eventually you still start getting clients. In the beginning, it's very difficult. If you're consistent, it might take you 3-4 months to actually get some traction. And also don't rely on it only on LinkedIn. I talked about the 5 different ways, right? LinkedIn is just one of the ways. There are many other ways as well. And based on what I know, most coaches, they just post on LinkedIn and they hope some miraculous thing happen. It's usually not like that. So also include other areas in terms of your lead generation. It's like having a balanced portfolio, right? If you're invested in only one asset, you're like high risk, but you have to have a balanced portfolio. It's like a balanced thali, like a better example maybe. So you have to have other strategies apart from LinkedIn as well.
A balanced thali resonates more with me than a balanced portfolio.
That's why I changed it, because I sensed an awkward silence. Not everybody's into that topic, so maybe not a good example. My bad.
So we have about a minute left, Aki, and before we run out of time, I just wanted to thank you for coming here and speaking to us on such an important and close to heart topic for fresh and seasoned coaches alike. And as a token of appreciation from the ICF Mumbai Charter Chapter, we have a certificate that I'd like to give to you on behalf of the chapter. Tandini, may I request you to please?
Yes, Aniket, give me a minute.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if you're not connected on LinkedIn, I'd love to connect with everybody here on LinkedIn. And if you'd like to follow more of what I do and the content, you can find me there. You'll get many more valuable pieces of content, actionable there.
I can vouch for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
Accept this and thank you one more time. Thank you to Akilesh and thank you to everybody who joined us today, on a Thursday evening. We appreciate and respect your time and deep gratitude. The CCO links have been posted by Nandini in the group, and it'll take about 2 weeks time for you to receive the certificates. Thank you one more time. Thank you, Akilesh.
Thank
See
you,
you all.
everybody. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Akilesh. Thank you very much.